Alrighty, let's take a look at all four of these midweek games, and we're just gonna jump straight in with Atlanta United. Don't look now, but Atlanta United, they have now won 4 out of the 5 games, and it looked like the sleeping giants of Atlanta United and the old look of Atlanta United is started to come back with this team. They of course won 2-0 against TFC in this game, and the way that they played, it looked like this was the Atlanta team from last year and also the year before. In the first half, the Alba scores from Joseph Martinez to get a 1-0 lead in favor of Atlanta. Second half, Gresso scored from Joseph Martinez again to make it 2-0 in favor of Atlanta. So Joseph Martinez, usually he is the guy that is on the goal scoring chart. Now all of a sudden, he's the guy on the assist chart. And I believe this season, Joseph Martinez has already got a couple of an assist. And I also heard somebody on the MLS match day thread on the Reddit page saying that it seemed like Joseph Martinez, after he of course conquered the title for the most goal ever scored in MLS, it looked like now he's going to do it with the assist chart. Although, to be fair, I think he is still pretty far away in terms of the top assists in MLS this season. So yeah, at that point it was 2-0, and then in the 78th minute, Pity Martinez almost scored his first ever goal. And what a first goal this would have been, where he basically took a free kick about 29 yards out, and he just absolutely hit that one picture perfect, only to just hit the top part of the post. I mean, he couldn't hit it as much as what he did with this free kick, but unfortunately it hits off the post, and it's kind of summarized how Pity Martinez has been in terms of his career at Atlanta United so far, which is there's been time that he came so close to the first goal, but unfortunately that is not the case. So yeah, unfortunately Pity Martinez once again not on the board. I mean, I put him on the board just to kind of tells you that at least he kind of did something in this game, and it wasn't just a hugely disappointing kind of game from him. But yeah, he came so close from scoring his first ever goal for Atlanta United. And that turns out to be your final score of this game, as Atlanta United comfortably winning 2-0 against TFC. In terms of the shots in this game, Atlanta had 19 shots compared to 8 that TFC had, 5 shots on goal compared to none that TFC had, 9 shots off target compared to 5 that TFC had, 5 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that TFC has, 47% possession for Atlanta compared to 53% possession that TFC had. So, for Atlanta, not only they win this game, but now they're above the red line for the first time this season. And with how good Atlanta has been playing in these last couple of games, it wouldn't take long for them to reclaim that top spot. I believe they're actually only 6 points away from that top spot, and that they actually have at least one game in hand over everybody in the Eastern Conference. Well, except for TFC, which I believe both of these teams were playing around the same amount of games with 9 apiece. But yeah, don't look now, but Atlanta United, they are charging up front, and they are looking to try to be what they've been for the last 2 years, which is becoming the dominant force in the Eastern Conference and the team that set the standards in MLS. And as for TFC, yes, this is a very frustrating loss, but it's clear that this TFC team are very desperate for Josie Altidore to back in this team. I mean, Pozuelo, as much as in the last couple of games he hasn't really had a good game, if they think that Pozuelo is going to be the guy that is going to be their goal scorer while Altidore is out, that is a big mistake, because Pozuelo, he's more of a creative player, whereas Altidore is kind of like the finisher. And when you're missing that finisher and you just put a creative player there, that's usually not going to work out very well. And the other thing that TFC has to work on is their defense. I mean, I've been saying for the last couple of games of how poor this TFC defense is, and it was once again in this game where there's been a couple of times where Atlanta just they had so much space to operate, and the last thing you want to do against this Atlanta team is to allow them space to pass the ball and find times to pick up out the right man in the attacking phase. I mean, when you do that, that means you're probably going to lose this game. But yeah, next up is Columbus. So they finally broke 2 streaks in this game. The first streak that they broke is that they finally broke their losing streak and ended at 5 games with a 3-1 win against the Galaxy. The other streak that they broke is that they finally have a Columbus player score a goal. And in the 27th minute, it's Jarzy Zardes scoring from Rubinho and Higuain. And as I mentioned, that's the first Columbus goal scored in 4 games. I know last week, Columbus, of course, they did score a goal, but it was an own goal. And technically, they probably should have scored last week because of the whole VAR controversy and stuff like that. I won't really mention it anymore since I already mentioned it a couple of times in the review. But yeah, at that point, it was 1-0 in favor of Columbus. Then in the 37th minute, Jonathan Dos Santos actually came off injured, and this is very bad news for the Galaxy. And it seemed like he came off injured with his left leg, so maybe it's kind of he has an injury with his left leg. Hopefully it's not serious, because the Galaxy, they're already been hampering with some big losses in their team. Alessandrini, Perry Kitchen, and now potentially JDS would add onto the IR list of the Galaxy have this season. And yeah, they cannot afford to lose Jonathan Dos Santos in that midfield. And in the second half, Higuain scores from Zardes, and this was awful defending from the Galaxy. And this defending of this second goal that they conceded was something that really reminds me of last season from the Galaxy, where Higuain basically just completely walked through the middle, completely unchallenged and completely not closed down whatsoever, and he basically just lashed one toward a goal and it hit into the back of the net. I mean, I seen U18 level defend better than what I just saw in terms of that. That was just some classic schoolboy defending from the Galaxy. And as much as the Galaxy this season at times that they have shown that they have improved in terms of defense, then there is those moments right there that they have shown this season where, yeah, those bad habit of bad defending is still clearly there for the Galaxy. And then in the 66th minute, Jimenez scores to make it 3-0 in favor of Columbus. Steres did get a consolation for the Galaxy from Leggett to make it 3-1. But yeah, Columbus, they grabbed their first victory in 5 games. And in terms of the shots in this game, they had 12 shots compared to 11 that the Galaxy had. 4 shots on goal compared to 3 that the Galaxy had. 3 shots off target compared to 4 that the Galaxy had. 5 shots that was blocked compared to 4 that the Galaxy has. And the Galaxy had 53% possession compared to 47% possession that the Columbus crew has. And even though David Accam was not in the starting 11 or on the team for Columbus, it feels like there was definitely, his presence was definitely felt with this Columbus team, because they just look so much better in terms of going for it in this game. And it seemed like Higuain and Zardes, after a couple of games where they were just non-factor whatsoever, this game they put on a show with Zardes scoring a goal and assisting one, and Higuain doing the same thing, scoring one and also assisting one. And as for the Galaxy, that's now back-to-back loss for them. And in some way, I'm not surprised the fact that the Galaxy have suffered back-to-back loss after a great start to the season, because the writings was definitely on the wall. When you look at the last couple of wins that eventually led to this back-to-back loss, where they were really just, they did not look good in the second half. And the only reason why they keep getting wins in those games is because they keep getting bailed out by Zlatan game in and game out. And I think teams have now realized that, if we just double team Zlatan or even triple team him, then everything would be good, because they don't really have another goal scorer on their team. And I think that's what teams are going to continue to try to do that. And for the Galaxy, they need to try to figure out another goal scorer that they need to put some pressure off of Zlatan. Zlatan, so far this season, I think he has scored pretty much at least a quarter of the goals that the Galaxy have scored this season. So they need to definitely put some pressure off him. And maybe their new signing, Fabio Alvarez, might put some of the pressure off him, because, he's supposed to be the short-term replacement for Roman Alessandrini. And let's see what he can do when he get into this team. But yeah, moving on. In the next match, New England, boy oh boy, you thought the last game against Philly was bad. It just gets worse for the refs. So they lost 5-0 to Chicago, And I think in some way, this result is not surprising because I knew for a fact that when I look at this result, yeah, Chicago is going to win because New England, it just seemed like game after game, they just look worse and worse and they just keep finding themselves. Like New England, they already hit rock bottom a couple of weeks ago. Right now, they're digging near the core of the earth right now with this result. I mean, it's been absolutely dreadful for the last couple of weeks for the Revs, and I really feel sorry for Revs fans that have to endure this. Obviously, as a Quakes fan, this is kind of the experience that Revs fan is feeling from last season. But all I'll say is, you of course will get through this hard time, and that also hopefully you can do one big favor to your team to maybe try to make it good is maybe fire Brett Friedel. Maybe it is finally time to just let him go. Because you look at already coaches like Anthony Hudson and also Alan Koch, and maybe they should force Brett Friedel to just criticize the team, and then maybe the owner decided, yep, you criticize the team and say that they're not good enough and you want more money to try to make your team better. Yep, that's not going to happen. We are going to fire you. But in terms of this game, in the first half, Nikolic scores from Gaetan to make it 1-0 in favor of Chicago. Nikolic then got his brace from Schweinsteiger and Gaetan to make it 2-0 Chicago. Then Bronico scores from Katai to make it 3-0 in favor of Chicago. Bronico is a guy that I actually forgot to mention in my news of the week, where the Chicago Fire actually re-signed this guy, and lo and behold, the first game that he came on, he scored a goal for them. So, I mean, I wouldn't say it's kind of a debut goal for him because he just got re-signed by the Chicago Fire, but in some way, it kind of felt like a debut goal for him that now he's once again signed with the Fire, and of course, he was assisted by Katai. And then on the bottom, I said Revs flat out quit. And I probably should have put that right at the beginning because it looked like from the beginning the Revs had no interest of actually playing this game. It didn't feel like they didn't even care about this game whatsoever. And in the 85th minute, Gaetan scores from Katai to make it 4-0. And Gaetan was wide open in the box. Like, when I look at that, I'm asking myself, where in the world is the marking? Who was marking Gaetan? Where is the defender for the Revs? Like, that, there's no way in the world that you can get a player that open than what Gaetan is, and it just also shows you that, you know, the Revs, they didn't even care in the last 30 minutes of this game. They already thought about maybe going home and think about the next game against the Quakes rather than finish off in this game. And then in the 89th minute, Frankowski adds the cherry on the top for the Chicago Fire to make it 5-0 at that point. Shots in this game, Chicago had 16 shots compared to just 4 that the Revs had. 7 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Revs had. 8 shots off target compared to 1 that the Revs had. Both teams had 1 shot that was blocked, and in terms of the possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession. And like I said, the Revs, they just flat out quit in this game. And if you're a Revs fan, I mean, obviously you're kind of getting used to the feeling of your team not performing, but it's getting to that point where you just cannot take it anymore. Like, I don't blame Revs fan for not even paying attention to this team anymore, because why in the world would you want to pay attention to a team that literally just flat out quit in this game? And keep in mind, after this game, the Revs, they have now conceded, get this, 15 goals in 3 games. And if you even want to go back to the Montreal game, they have now conceded 18 goals in the last 4 games. They're averaging more than 4 goals conceded in the last 4 games. Yeah, something tells me that, you know Rapids fan, when they complain about their defense and being hot garbage, Revs fan probably would say, oh, that's cute that your defense is bad, but you know what, hold your beer there, because we also have a garbage defense that basically concede goals even at a more alarming rate than your defense is. I mean, I will be very surprised if this team does not concede more than 70 goals. The way that this team has gone, unless they decided to change it up in the summer, there is no way in the world that this team is going to be like this team looked like they're going to be battle for the wooden spoon this year rather than just actually competing for anything. And again, I won't be surprised that they will concede more than 70 goals this season. And as for the Chicago Fire, it's a good victory for them. And although, yes, it's against New England, and pretty much everybody has been able to beat New England except for the Red Bulls and one other team that I forgot that New England actually beat. But, yeah, they'll take this win, and hopefully with them scoring 5 goals, it might spark the offense a little bit. I mean, one thing I said about Chicago is they've been so inconsistent this year. They showed it once again where, there's been time where their offense, like tonight, it finally clicked in this game, but the last couple of games, it kind of just was, it didn't click whatsoever. Although, the last game, I'll give them a pass because they were playing against LAFC, and you don't want to play attacking football against LAFC, especially when they are away. But finally, the Red Bulls. Boy, this was a huge letdown for them. And, I know I probably didn't say this in the preview, but I kind of had a feeling that the Red Bulls could potentially lose this one, mainly because, one, they had that emotional victory against the Galaxy, and we've seen before where a team, when they have an emotional victory and are coming off of an emotional victory, and especially now that they have to play on a short rest after that emotional victory, they would then have a bit of a letdown in the next game, and this one was the case for the Red Bulls. They did not play very well at all in this game, but they did get the lead in the first half when Aaron Long scores from Jatkowski to make it 1-0 in favor of the Red Bulls. And I thought with the Red Bulls taking a 1-0 lead, maybe the Red Bulls could actually win this, considering Montreal. I was very concerned of the fact that can their attack generate enough in terms of getting an equalizer, which the answer to that is yes, because in the second half, Dallo scores from Urruti and Brownie to make it 1-1. Good to see Urruti and Brownie on the score sheet too, because those two guys, Urruti, he hasn't had the best time with Montreal so far, but at times that he has showed his quality, and he has been kind of unlucky at times in terms of not scoring a goal. And obviously with Brownie, you know why I'm always happy to see him on the board and on the score sheet or even on the assist sheet. But then in the 79th minute, Urruti then converts a penalty after Aaron Long, of course, shoved one of the Montreal player. And I know Red Bulls fans are not going to be happy about this because it definitely looked like a dive that Montreal player did. But it was pretty clear that Long kind of did a little bit of a tap behind the back of that Montreal player. And that is all it takes in terms of making contact in the box. And yeah, they concede a penalty. Urruti, of course, as I said, puts it away. And that is your final score of this game, as Montreal, again, this season, they have done... When you look at this team, you wouldn't think that this team would be considered one of the best team in the league, especially how many time that they have now without Piatti. You wouldn't think that Montreal should be near the top of the Eastern Conference, but here we are. They are near the top of the Eastern Conference again. They're still winning, and the fact that they're winning so many road games this season, which traditionally is something that Montreal struggled for the past couple of seasons, yeah, something tells me that this could definitely be a very dark horse team and a team that you do not want to face once they head into the playoffs. But in terms of the shots in this game, the Red Bulls only had 5 shots in this game compared to 10 that Montreal has. 2 shots on goal compared to 4 that Montreal has. 2 shots off target compared to 5 that Montreal has. Both teams had 1 shot that was blocked. Red Bulls had 48% possession compared to 52% possession that Montreal has. And with this loss, the Red Bulls have now lost 3 home games this season, which is now the most that they have since 2015. And we're only in the 10th game of the season. That just shows you how Red Bull Arena, yeah, it's no longer a fortress anymore. It seemed like teams can easily win that. And technically, it should have been 4 home games that they have lost if it wasn't for the Quakes just completely capitulate earlier in the season. And yeah, as much as Red Bull fan thought that Galaxy game when they beat them and got that emotional win, maybe that they can kind of turn it around. Yeah, it doesn't seem like that is the case. It seemed like they're going to still probably be sitting there at the bottom for a bit until they figure it out. But like I said, with Montreal, they continue to win without Piatti. And once they get Piatti back in this team, yeah, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Eastern Conference. But that being said, that is pretty much it for all the review of the 4 midweek games for this week. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these games? I, of course, will be doing the preview for, I believe, another 12-game slate for this weekend on Thursday. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and I will see you guys next time.